Mickey 17 review. Take one. Action. Hi, welcome to the Two Takes podcast. I'm Pat. Are you okay? Are you okay? Oh, fuck. Is he allergic to grenadine?
Yep.
He's allergic to grenadine?
Yep.
Fuck. Okay, can we get Brandon number 2 in here, please? Mickey 17 review, take 2. Action. Hey, welcome to the Two Takes podcast. I'm Pat.
And I am Brandon 2.
That is right. I'm so glad Brandon 2's here because, like, Brandon 1 kind of sucked.
He was a joke.
He was just a little stinker.
Unbelievable.
I hated him so much. It's like a roll of the dice with, like, Brandon 2, but, like...
More like 2.0, right?
You know what I'm saying? Bigger and better. You're the Dark Knight to his Batman Begins.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We're here to talk about Mickey 17 today. It is written and directed by Bong Joon Ho, starring Robert Pattison off of, his Batman little run and Good Time. My favorite actor, probably.
Wow. Never knew that.
At least my favorite, like, leading man, big blockbuster actor going right now, I would say it's Robert Pattison. And Bong Joon Ho is one of my favorite directors. I love Snowpiercer. I think Snowpiercer gets a lot of love. I don't think it gets enough love.
I agree.
And Parasite, which is one of my favorite movies ever. That movie, like, into the second half, it grabbed me by the balls and it was just like, hey. Me and you, we're locked in for the next hour and a half. And
in contention for perhaps best movie of the 2010s.
I would agree with that. So what's this movie about, Shirley? Hit us with it.
Well, it is about a man named Mickey Barnes. He goes along this group of people to colonize a new planet called Niflheim. And he volunteers to be part of the expendable program. What this means is that he will do all these very risky and often deadly jobs. And then after he dies, a new version of him is created.
Before we get into it, what are we sipping on here? What Mickey 17 cocktail do we have?
Tradition for this podcast is that we're going to do a signature drink for each of these movies that we do, and this is called the Sauce. You will know what this means if you've watched the movie. And it's essentially a take on a cherry Negroni made with bourbon, and it is very good, and I don't even like cherry, so that is a endorsement, if any.
Shouts out Mike for mixing us up with that. Yeah, Mark Ruffalo's wife really loved Sauce, like you fucking read about. We'll get into that in the the spoiler section, like what you think that means. But okay, yeah. So this is episode number 1. Anytime I see a movie, like especially in theaters, I always like text you like, hey, this is how I felt about it. So like it was weird. Like I felt like I had a secret, like not telling you all day like how I felt about this.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you think about this?
I liked it. I did not love it. I liked it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to compare it to like Parasite because it's like, what is as good as that?
Yeah.
But I took it on its own though. And I will say though, even though it's probably, I've only seen like Snowpiercer, Parasite. I don't know if he's done any other films. A
couple Korean films, nothing that's really been like widely, besides like Snowpiercer, The Host. And then I think there's an animated one that I know Steven Yeun's in. That I'm unfamiliar with. But The Host is a really good one. I think it was back in the 2000s, but yeah.
But yeah, of the 3, Snowpiercer, Parasite, and Mickey 17, I'd say this is my least favorite of those.
I am going to agree with you. I think it kind of reminds me of how I felt after coming out of Nosferatu, where I think I hyped myself up a little bit too much with Nosferatu because I loved The Lighthouse and I loved The Northman. So I was like, okay, like Robert Edgar, that's my dude.
Mm.
And then Nosferatu, it was good, but the fact that I thought it was going to be great, I kind of left underwhelmed. This, I liked it, but it's hard because, and it's hard not to compare it to Parasite, especially like him coming off of it, because like there's so many things like plot wise that didn't really make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, but
and pacing issues and kind of being subtle with with the satire, which he's always had satire and like like takes on like classism and everything like that, which that's not the new, but like We'll get into that more in the spoiler
Very
section.
similar. I mean, yeah, that's very. You'll still get what you get from a Bong movie.
Yeah, it's still a Bong Joon Ho movie, but
It's weird just calling him Bong.
I
Is
feel
his
like
name just Bong?
I just Bong, yeah, Bong with the bong, the bang, the dang, digga, digga.
Yeah.
I might,
Yeah, about class, about social structure, about certain elected officials.
yeah. That's another thing they'll get in the spoiler section. So like, cover everything that we can't in the non-spoiler section. Robert Pattison, man,
Yeah,
so fucking good.
do it with he could do it with his eyes closed. Pretty much.
He's really established himself as, and I love that he seems to be like. I watched an interview with him one time where he said he just wants to play weirdos, and you can kind of tell where like. In a role where like he really could have played this straight, like he could have just been an everyman. He really added like a certain like lovable, like naive, like village idiot charm to this that like I wonder how much of that was like on the text and how much of that he kind of brought to him himself.
Yeah, he's one of those actors that like, if I could have an actor's career,
Yeah.
he would be a pretty fun choice to have.
Yeah, that's a good point because he made his bag with Twilight and probably Harry Potter. Now he's like, I can really do whatever I want.
And he's been doing that ever since then.
Yeah.
And then he just became Batman. Apparently, he never even auditioned for that, by the way. I just learned that. But yeah.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah.
I watched an interview with Bong Joon Ho. He didn't know that he was going to be in this. Like, the studio was like, yeah, Robert Pattinson's, like, on board. So, that's cool. That's kind of fucking cool that he has. It's like, yeah, I'm going to be in your movie. So,
yeah.
he's really good. And this was in the trailer, so it's not as big of a deal. But, like, there's two alternate versions of Mickey's playing off of each other at the same time. And you can really see like the juxtaposition between like the Mickey 17 and the Mickey 18 and like how different they are, and you can tell like how much fun he's having in like in each similar role.
Yeah, I'll get into issues that I have, small issues I have with that.
Yeah,
the spoilers, but the thing with the movie though is like I honestly don't like it wasn't kind of predictable. It kind of ended up the way I thought it was going to.
There was a point where in the movie, it was about maybe halfway through, where I kind of thought like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
like it never really with Bong Joon Ho with Snowpiercer and Parasite, and I hate that I keep comparing these two. There's a point where something turns, and at that point it's go go go. The stakes are up. He's really good at that. He's really good at bouncing. I guess tone. Like a lot of times it seems one of his movies could be more like lighthearted and then it'll take a turn, and like because it started off as lighthearted, like it just feels more raw and like exposed. This like it never really had that
kickoff. Like
it never had that kickoff, and it never had that balancing act. Like it just kind of had that ongoing dark I know it's a dark comedy, but it never had like it was more comedy than dark, and I just feel like it didn't balance itself out well.
Yeah, it never had that wall opening moment and like the basement reveal of the Parasite. It's just and that just like you said, it just grabbed you and it had you from that point on. And every time I thought it was going to do that, it just didn't really. It's just like, oh, that wasn't gonna. It didn't really deliver on that.
Yeah, there was a couple times where I'm like, oh shit, here we go, and then it just kind of. It leads me to think, because this was supposed to come out last year, right?
Yeah.
And it got delayed, and usually when a delay happens, I'm like, oh, it's reshoots. Reshoots are happening. There was no reshoots. Apparently this was like picture lock, and it was just in post, and then they pushed it back a year.
Do you know why do you have any idea why it was delayed?
So like I was trying to do some research on it, and the only thing I could see was like it was kind of so like this was circa 2013 it wrapped. And
in 2023?
In 2023, it wrapped.
Okay.
Like literally, like mid 2023, it wrapped, and then 2024, it was supposed to be released. Like, when did the writer's strike happen?
It was like summer of 2023. It was around when the Barbie Oppenheimer thing happened, because I think they were able to do like one like press tour or one red carpet thing, and then they all immediately like in solidarity they stopped doing that.
Right. So this should have been locked. From like what I read, this was a lock from that point. And like Bong Joon Ho said, like, oh, because of the writer's strike, it got delayed. And I was like, this was already like, it should have been done wrapping. Why? Regardless, I don't know. Like something weird happened, and it didn't it didn't come out until now, and I feel like there was slight studio interference, and I feel like that's how like why the plot and like kind of the messaging seems so pitchy, where it just kind of, to me, like I've been watching movies enough where I could kind of tell when like a studio kind of comes in and wants
Yeah.
and like Warner Brothers has been like better at that, but like I don't know, this kind of screamed like, hey, it's there's some interference here, because like I don't know, like I was watching this and I'm like, there's a better movie buried in here somewhere, and I just
Yeah.
feel like at some point this movie lost the plot, and in a lot of ways, like I feel like I'm dumping on this more than
Yeah.
I want to be. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think
Yeah.
with the high bar that Bong Joon Ho set, I did leave a little bit disappointed, and the negatives are really outshining the positives that I have. But like in a lot of ways, I really think Robert Pattinson carried this movie. Like,
Yeah,
this performance.
Yeah, which he absolutely does. But it what it boils down to is just like, yeah, it's pretty much everything I thought it would be.
Yeah,
I saw the trailer. I mean, I saw the trailer. Saw everything I saw from this. I'm like, yeah, I think I'll like this,
yeah,
and I did.
yeah.
Nothing more. There's no surprises. Like nothing that really blew my mind. I mean, it's well directed. Of course, it is. I like the design of the world. I like the production design was very good. I like all the mixture between kind of high tech and like low tech.
Sure, yeah. I think the production design was fantastic. I feel like this is a good example of like the movie not being better than the sum of its parts, because like the acting was great, the set design was great, the CG, like the effects were great. It just, I don't know, everything didn't really come together to be something fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm being a hater, and maybe like I don't know. I was sucking Bong Joon Ho's dick too much when like Parasite came out and I saw Snowpiercer, because like that kind of happened around the same time. Like I kind of saw both of them like around the same time, and I'm like, oh, this is my dude. And then when I saw he was coming out with this and Robert Pattinson was in it, and this was like right after I watched The Lighthouse that I saw Robert Pattinson was in it, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, let's go. This is gonna be amazing. But
Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, the best sci-fi, or my favorite sci-fi, is like they really take the concept and run with it, and like they really squeeze all the juice out of it.
yeah,
And I don't really think they did it with this one. I think there were just other. I think the messaging kind of got in the way. I think a lot of the side characters, like focusing on certain side characters, took away focus from like Mickey, and it made a lot of emotional beats, particularly at the end, kind of fall flat for me.
yeah. Do you want to get into spoilers? Because I feel like we're kind of
Yeah, I think we're kind of dancing around it.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
and again, there's not. I don't. We're just gonna go at this point. Just go free flow.
Yeah. So here's a spoiler warning. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm trying to think where I want to start with this. As far as the
Set in the same world as Parasite. Who would have thought?
is that facts?
No, it's not.
Okay. I mean, all of his
Maybe
movies,
it is. I
All of
don't
his
know.
movies, all of his movies feel like they can be kind of connected. So
That one kid's probably still saving money to buy that house.
he's like almost there.
I wish there was. I wish
And then
there
the
was an
fucking
Easter egg
world
for
ended.
that. Yeah.
And then the world no, it'd be cool if like the world of Parasite was in the world of Snowpiercer. So like he was just about to have enough money, and then the world fucking freezes over.
It's my headcanon.
Yeah.
They're all in the same universe.
And then
Like,
he looks-
presumably they could be.
And then he looks around. He's like, "Come on, I was
Yeah.
just about to have like enough money." So one of the things that like was really sticking out to me in this movie is like Mark Ruffalo and his wife, whose name is escaping me, like
Toni Collette.
Yeah,
Love her.
their characters and how cartoonish they were
Yeah.
to a very like an annoying, like they very quickly like overstay their welcome.
Especially Mark Ruffalo.
And like let's be real, he's getting his Trump on. Like it's very clear, like the satire,
Yeah.
like he's Trump, like this is a Trump impression. And it
Yeah.
just it really took me out of it. Like in your, like it's totally cool to have like, you know, satire about like what's going on in, like in the real world, but when it's that on the nose and that not subtle, I was like, is this really the same dude that gave us fucking Parasite? Is this the same
Yeah.
dude that gave us like Snowpiercer? Like it was just so like blatant and in my face, and apart from that, the characters were just annoying, and not in like a you love to hate them kind of way. Like anytime a scene was taking their time with those two, I'm like, can we fucking please get to anything else?
Yeah, it's like you get it. It's like that's the point, and it's just the other thing. I think I've finally come to terms with the fact that I'm not a fan of Mark Ruffalo.
Really?
Yeah, not a fan of Mark Ruffalo.
Oh my god, you fucking hate Mark Ruffalo. That's
I don't hate Mark Ruffalo.
No, you hate his fucking guts, bro.
Okay, I kind of do. But
and that's kind of wild.
You can't tell anyone.
That's wild because like maybe he doesn't look like he could be his son, but it looks like he could be like his nephew or something. Ironically,
I'm gonna forget that you said that.
No, it's a compliment. He's a good looking dude.
He just has like this. I don't know. Like he just his version of the Hulk's kind of whack. Like it, even in poor, he works in Poor Things.
He's so great,
but almost in like a weird like roundabout way. Like his performance is so weird that it adds to the movie. Like it's fair. Like I don't. Is it because I don't know if it's his skill that makes him good in Poor Things, or just like because he's so like awkward that it just happens to work with the rest of the tone of that film.
I loved him in Poor Things. With the Hulk, I could take it or leave it, but I will say, I didn't like him here. I didn't think he was great. But, like he's trying to. I mean, maybe he was doing his part because he was trying to play this like heinous bad guy, but like he really annoyed me to the point where there's this thing in wrestling called go home heat, where like there's a difference between like a bad guy that's doing a good job as being a bad guy. And then a bad guy that people just fucking hate, and every time they turn on, like, anytime he's on TV, they want to change the channel.
Yeah.
I feel like Mark Ruffalo kind of had go home heat with me, where I'm like, every time they were, like, hamming it up in every scene, I'm just like, can we do anything else but this right now?
Yeah, like, if I'm being, like, objective, like, if I'm taking my personal bias out of the way, I think the biggest failure with that character is I don't understand why all these people follow him.
That's a good point, yeah.
Like, I don't understand why all these... Like, because presumably a lot of these people went there because they love this guy so much.
Yeah.
And it's like, he just doesn't have, like, the charisma. Like, he's just weird. Like, I don't know what... It said he's a failed politician. Like, he hasn't even, like, done anything of, like, merit. Yeah. Honestly, because you could... I mean, because a lot of people compare him to, like, he's like a mixture of, like, Trump and Elon Musk. Because, like, Elon Musk is, like, awkward, too, but it's, like, you could at least say that he's, you know, a billionaire. He's achieved things, SpaceX, yada, yada. But it's just, I don't know why people gravitate towards this guy. I don't know. I have no idea why. And I think that's a failing of the movie.
And that's the thing with a lot of his other, like... I was watching Snowpiercer recently, and, like, with the people in charge there, you can kind of see how they got into the position that they were at, as villainous as they are. You could kind of see how they were able to kind of like pull the strings. With him, I'm like, how the fuck did this guy ever like get a space station put under, you know, his command? And
yeah,
that like, I know it's sci-fi and we're dealing with, you know, people being cloned and everything like that, but it's stuff like that kind of like broke my, or just made me go like, this world is silly. Like this world isn't inheriting to its own rules that are like based in human logic.
I think the world, like the design of the world and the technology is interesting. I don't think the world building, is it's executed very like weirdly.
That's another thing. I was shocked with how much of the setup for this movie was done just in voiceover and exposition.
Yeah.
Did that come off jarring to you too?
I don't know. Because I mean, I went in, I wasn't really expecting it, but I will say, as it was going on, I'm like, I'm surprised I'm not annoyed by this, and I wasn't. Because again, it's like Robert Pattinson kind of made that movie. I'm like, because that was kind of the movie. That was that whole like first act. I'm like, that was the point where I'm like, because I've heard some mixed things from a lot of people about this movie. Like, it's not a good pair. So I'm like, this is pretty good so far. Like, I don't know. I'm in it. I'm in this so far. I think it's kind of funny, and there are a couple weird things too. Like, I think it's kind of weird and kind of funny that he just gets with that one girl, or, what's her name, Sasha?
Yeah, so that's another thing. This movie's
I have poorly written notes here. I can look up the.
This movie's very horny in certain parts, and I'm not.
Nasha.
Nasha
Barrage.
This movie's very like surprisingly horny in certain spots, and I wasn't sure why. I wasn't sure what they were trying to get at with that, because the one officer or both the female leads are really into Mickey in this, and I'm not, I wasn't sure what they were trying to get
Yeah, and I don't
across
even know
with
why
that.
they were interested in him, because he's like a weird guy. Is it just because he looks like Robert Pattinson? Because I actually thought that, like with Nasha, because like he says like a line out, she's like an elite like agent. Mm-hmm. She's like an elite special agent. I thought that there was going to be like a reveal that she was like working for Mark Ruffalo, whose name is Marshall, Kenneth Marshall. I thought she was gonna be, it was gonna be like a reveal, like she was getting close to him, like there was gonna be like they were gonna go in. There's gonna be like a reveal that like they were doing further studies on like the expendable program and like some kind of psychological effect, like what, you know, how like love would work for a printed person, and if they died, what would happen if that person is reborn. Like I don't know. I thought I was expecting something more interesting,
Right.
and that just never happened. It's just like, no, she just kind of falls in love with this quirky guy, which I guess fine, but again,
Yeah, and they never really, and that relationship was never really established, or I never really bought into it. Like the whole thing, like their relation. I mean, like their whole relationship was like based on sex. Like that was kind of
yeah,
their thing.
and
They
it's
liked to
funny.
fuck.
Like I think it's a funny like relationship,
Yeah,
but also like the fact that I do think it's interesting that he said that there are the two female leads, because I think that I think her name's Kai.
Okay.
I think I wouldn't even call her that. I think her role in the film is really odd, because it's like she goes with that team, and then her friend dies in that collapse, and then Marshall kind of
yeah,
berates Mickey,
yeah,
and then she's like, my friend died, and then she is into Mickey, and then there's that scene with them during the dinner, and then she's like, oh, how you have 17, I have 18. And I thought it was gonna be like this weird like love triangle or love square thing, and then she kind of just disappears from the movie.
and it doesn't.
Then she helps apprehend the Mickeys,
Yeah,
but then she just kind of disappears from the movie.
and then it does that whole storyline doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
And if they were going for like laughs with that whole thing, because I remember that scene where they're talking like, oh, you get 17 and I get 18.
Yeah.
Nobody was laughing.
no,
So it just let me be like, what's the point of this? Like, okay, surely this has to be going somewhere, and then it really doesn't. So
Yeah.
it led me thinking, like, I was like, okay, is like both of them being, into Mickey, is this like showing that like, oh, like people no matter like what level are exploiting like the common man or whatever. But like that was me making up like subtext for something that wasn't on the screen at all, just because I'm like,
Yeah.
this guy, come on.
yeah,
This guy made Parasite. Like,
Yeah, and-
give me something here.
yeah, and yeah,
You know what it is? It's like if you ever have like siblings where like one gets really good grades, like they get A's all the time, the other one gets like C's, and the one that gets C's get like a B, and then like the parents are like, oh, like good job, like well done. But then the
Yeah.
one that gets A's gets a B, and they're like, oh, what happened? I feel like that's what's going on with me in this movie. Is like I'm so used to him like me giving him A's on everything, and then like he makes a B, and I'm like, oh, what happened? Like what's going on here? Before I forget about this, did I miss something? Why was 18 so drastically different than all the other Mickeys?
I'm very glad that you brought that up, because that's never like explained at all, because it's like there was never like a moment where it's like there wasn't like a glitch or anything, because presumably all the other Mickeys that ran through were the same, but then it's like Mickey 17 didn't die, but then they just decide to make a print of him. Like what? It's almost like there should have been like a solo scene with him being created and going through some sort of development, or like maybe having a different interpretation of the memories that are like loaded into him. Mm-hmm. Because there's something to like it, like you just because there's a reason why he's different.
Sure.
We just don't know why, and it's just like it. I think something that does this concept very well is Severance,
Yeah.
where it's like there are these actors that are playing essentially two versions of themselves, and it's like they have the same memories up to the point, but they're very different people. They have connections with different people. Some are, more morally good and more morally evil. But it's just there's nothing. I don't know, that raises interesting questions. That makes you think. This one's like, I think the failing of this movie is just like you're asking questions about like the plot and like the structure, where you should be asking questions about like at the movie, like the themes, like what's the meaning of life, like what would happen if this was like real, like if you're able just to like print people, and like what would the ethics of that be? And well, they kind of go into that with like the guy who invented the printing thing, but even then it's almost like I don't know.
I get what you're saying. It introduces a lot of really interesting questions, but it never decides to do anything more with it to kind of show like the movie's take on it.
Yeah,
it just kind of introduces these things, and then it doesn't really, and they never really go anywhere. I think, I think like if you really like look at the one thread of like why is Mickey 18 so different than like Mickey 17, like that if you're watching this and you pick up on that, and that's when you can really start to pull on the threads and see like everything kind of start to fall apart. With this movie, to the time that like the third act happened with like all the creepers, I was like, this didn't land at all. Like I knew and somewhere in the second act, I'm like, this isn't gonna stick the landing. And I'm like, unless it does something crazy at the end. And speaking of the end, what did you make of that dream sequence?
I thought it was very. Its inclusion was weird because it's like. I'm like, I thought I was missing something. Because it's like they said that she slit her wrist, and yeah, I know it was like a dream, but it's just that just wasn't a thing that wasn't established in the movie previously, and it's like I have weird dreams. Well, I guess now you are.
Yeah, and the whole pressing the red button as a. If you've seen the movie, you understand it. When he was a child, he was driving with his mother, and apparently there's a red button in the car where if you press the button, it makes the car fucking crash or something like that.
Yeah.
They never really explained that much either. They just kind of, like, here's another thing. Here's his character development.
Yeah, it's the defect. Like, it's a very weak motivation that's like...
Did this guy not make fucking Parasite or not, man?
Yeah, I know.
I don't mean to keep comparing it to Parasite, but it's just like, come on.
Because, like, I was never sold... I was never sold on how... on like why this guy would sign himself up for this expendable program. And by the way, I think it's weird that he's the only one.
Yeah.
Like
100.
Like
yeah.
What? So if he didn't sign up for it, then this movie just wouldn't happen.
Like, I'm sure there's people watching this that at one point in their life they would have been like, you know what, fuck it, I'll sign up for the expendable program.
Yeah.
You know, why the hell not? I'd do that right now.
Yeah. But it's just, I don't know. I was never sold on it. And then, I mean, it was interesting at the end how he gets to, he gets to press the button to destroy the cloning thing.
Would you do an expendable program if like you got a freebie? Well, you're Brandon 2 now, but like,
well, I mean, I am Brandon 2, so
yeah, you are Brandon 2.
This is canon.
Yeah, Brandon 1 again. Canon sucked.
He's dead.
Yeah, it sucked. Yeah,
actually dead.
Yeah, he had an accent. Did you know that?
No, but I don't.
Yeah, which is weird. Yeah, Brandon 1 had a British accent and you don't.
I don't know about that.
It was strange. I thought it was weird too.
He's doing a bit.
But if you could expend yourself, I guess, would you do it and then like come back as like Brandon 3? Just like do some weird like skydive without a parachute or something like that?
No, because I think one thing that they did capture very well is just like, no, death is scary.
Yeah,
like it just like I think Kai asks him at one point like, what's it like to die? He's like, yeah, I'm scared every time.
Yeah, like it fucking sucks. And they don't really like ever explain it more after that.
Yeah,
I was like, what is death like? Yeah, it fucking sucks.
Yeah, like I think it would have been better to showcase like I guess the degradation throughout the Mickeys, because it's just like kind of said like very quickly that I think they went through 9 Mickeys during the 4.5 year journey to Niflheim.
Mm-hmm. And they all acted the same. So like again, it goes back. Why is Mickey?
Yeah.
And like the only thing you could think of is like because Mickey 17 was still alive, that's why Mickey 18 was so like was such like
Yeah.
was so different than the Mickey 17. But they don't again. They
But
don't
that's the thing. We
explain that.
have to assume this.
Yeah, like none of this is on like the screen. It's like you're coming up with it yourself, and it just I don't know, fell apart for me.
And they don't need to answer every question. Like
Yeah.
you have to. I mean, yeah, you know, you got to leave things open, but it's just like you have to. There just wasn't enough. There wasn't just enough laid out above the concept. And this is weird because usually I like. My favorite stories are like character focused stories, but this is like one story I'm like I kind of wanted a little less character and a little bit more out of the concept.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
because it's such an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Like you really could have done like a million things with this.
You could have cut out like you cut. I mean, the whole Steven Yeun plot with like the loan shark, like it's just all this stuff just taking up screen time. Like this movie.
I agree.
I felt every 2 hours.
You could have cut
2
that
hours and 17 minutes. I felt every minute of it.
You could have cut that entire
Yeah.
loan shark plot out of it, and it would have made a hint of difference. And
Yeah.
it just on all of these things, and I'm not comparing it that like your this work shouldn't be as like good as whatever, but like I'm like I've seen what Bong Joon Ho can do. He's more clever than this. So it just again it leads me to go like, what happened? What happened with this movie that like it fell apart for me as much as it did? And I think if you put just a passable actor, not a fantastic again, like Robert Pattinson fucking crushed it in this movie. He's worth price of admission alone. If you put just like a passable actor in this movie, I think this becomes like a rotten 50 to 60% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm trying to think of an actor that's like a good example that like you could like
Just have a
if you put like I'm trying to think who's
Mark Ruffalo.
you put Mark Ruffalo in.
Ruffalo and oh god, if we're being real, he could not play Mickey.
Oh, 100.
No,
I don't
he
know if
could
he has
not
the
do it.
chops. Yeah, and like real quick, we're in the spoiler section, so it's okay. But like Mark Ruffalo does this face during like a lot of his deliveries.
I think his teeth were fake.
He did have fake teeth. Yeah, I did read that he had fake teeth. So like I mean, he was like a deplorable villain, not like a believable villain or a villain that you thought was actually a threat. The only threat that he had was the power that you didn't really understand how the fuck this guy ended up like getting power. Whatever. But yeah, Robert Pattinson really crushes it.
Yeah.
I always wonder with him as if like the first thing he tries to set up when he has a role is his voice, because every role that he has always has and even it's not just the pitch of his voice, it's like his cadence, the way he talks, like the words he puts emphasis on, and like the way like every single time it's different.
Yeah.
And that's just like the mark of a good actor. He really like dives into it, and like he clearly understands like every single like aspect of every character that he does. This was originally going to be Steve-O. Like he was trying to
wait, what?
Yeah, he was trying to base Mickey's like the performance off of Steve-O. He was gonna have like the voice and everything, but he said like, yeah, it didn't really work, so I kind of like adjusted it and stuff.
But I think it's interesting you say that too, because he even changes the voices between the Mickeys.
Yeah,
But again, I think I wish there was more focus on Mickey 18, because I don't him sacrificing himself at the end, like it just didn't work. Like he just didn't. I'm like. It's like I guess he became a better person. I didn't really see that.
yeah,
Because it's like he's just kind of an asshole the whole time. Mm-hmm. Kind of reckless. I mean, because I'm like, and I'm trying to like reach for things, because it's almost like Mickey 17 was like the complacent, like docile self, and like the 18 is like the rebellious and edgy. Like
he's the one doing the things that 17
but it's
wants
just
to do.
the why.
Yeah,
I just needed more like why this is happening, why these things are happening the way that they are, why this movie's unfolding the way that it did. This movie feels like it cut out all the wrong stuff. Yeah.
It kept in all the wrong scenes, but it kept in all the all the bad scenes where it's like on the cutting room floor somewhere there's a mix up,
Yeah.
and they kept in all the shit that wasn't necessary for the story and for the characters, but like they kept all the stuff that was just like quick fun little gags. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like instead of it's just kind of weird because instead of having like that basement reveal in Parasite, instead the movie brings us back to the loan shark plot. Like the loan shark plot's back.
Yeah.
Oh goody, you shouldn't have.
Right.
Like-
I don't like
Yeah.
that mixed with the weird love square triangle. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
And honestly, it was that part that where I'm like, I'm feeling the length now. Like I think this isn't like this is losing steam. It's like this
Yeah.
movie's kind of lost steam, and it never really got it back. And I'll say this: I actually think the ending did technically stick the landing. That's why I'm like positive. That's why I'm saying that this is a good movie. Like I think it does stick the landing. It's just like yeah, it did it. It's kind of ended like how I thought it would.
Well, let's talk about some like positive stuff because like I'm giving this a positive score, even though it felt like most of this has been negative.
Yeah, there's been a lot of critique, but we're like, we're still positive. Let's focus on the positives.
Let's focus on the positives.
Focusing on the positives.
Again, the performances here, besides Mark Ruffalo, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Is like,
yeah,
maybe I'm not the best. I don't know because he's so funny in Poor Things though. Like,
but again, it's like, it's almost on accident.
maybe he's just like a naturally unlikable person, and like the fact that he's leaning into it. I don't know. Maybe we'll make this a bit going forward.
Like you think like the creative team was like to Yorgos like, hey, Mark Ruffalo's kind of bad. He's like, and then Yorgos is like, no, this is perfect.
keep playing, keep playing.
He's
keep
like,
playing.
I know, but it is perfect.
And then Willem Dafoe. I am playing Mark Ruffalo now. William, you're actually playing the father character? No, it's okay. I am also playing Willem Dafoe. I'm also playing Mark Ruffalo now.
Now, if Willem Dafoe was in Mark Ruffalo's role in this movie, then I could see why people went to another planet.
Yeah, or like Willem 17. I would have been here with 17 different Willem Dafoes. That'd be amazing. Yeah, just like popping up everywhere. I don't know. I keep saying I'm positive on this movie, but besides
positive stuff. Let's get to positives.
But I'm really kind of drawing a blank on like the production design is great. Robert Pattinson's great. The directing is solid. It's not as great as it was. Again, like okay, I'm gonna at this point I'm gonna stop comparing it to Parasite and Snowpiercer. Directing's great. Directing's really good.
Yeah.
I think it's just really the writing where things start to kind of fall apart,
as they often do.
Yeah, it's always the most important things, folks. If you don't have good writing, you don't have anything. It could be as pretty as hell. I mean, look at Game of Thrones season 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at Open Arms Society. The cinematography was fantastic. Performance is fantastic. Writing trash. What are you gonna do?
For sure.
Do you?
I think most of the acting across the board, I think, was pretty good.
That one's just for me, all right, guys?
Yeah.
That was just for me.
Honestly, Mark Ruffalo is... I don't even think he's terrible, but I think he does overstay his welcome.
Yeah.
Because I even think Toni Collette... I think Toni Collette is better at her role.
Yeah.
Than him. Like, I'm like... Yeah.
I think she's fine.
But even his
at the end, it almost seems like she was kind of the lead antagonist. Then.
Yeah, but I not Nasha. I liked her. I liked her role. Like she was like real ride or die.
Yeah. She was too, but again, she was underdeveloped to the point where like I kind of get the point where you're saying where it felt like there was going to be a reveal that one of these wasn't on Mickey's side, but then it wasn't. So.
Steven Yeun, I like him a lot.
Yeun's gonna Yeun. That's what I'm gonna.
Yeun's gonna Yeun.
Yeun's gonna Yeun. That's what I'm. Yeah. That's what I always say. Did you see Beef?
I love Beef.
Oh, clearly, obviously, we're both two beefy boys.
Yeah,
we gotta stop doing inside jokes that people are gonna get.
This is actually the first inside joke we've gotten.
That is a good point.
Yeah, we haven't done any inside jokes. It's been pretty good.
That's been pretty solid.
33 minutes in.
Probably.
Just an educated guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he was really good in Beef. I think I think he's a really good actor. He's one of my like favorites going right now.
Did you see that there was like a Thunderbolts trailer where they're essentially like there was like a new trailer where they focused on like all the creatives behind it, and it's a pretty cool trailer. It's like from the writers and director of Beef. Yeah, so that they're doing Thunderbolts. It's like the cinematographer of like Minari,
really,
and like all these other like the stars of like Midsummer.
Okay,
Better Man. Like they focused on like a lot of like yeah, like on the editor. I think the editor of Everything Everywhere All at Once or something. Oh no,
Okay.
it was the composer of Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay.
It was like this A24 like shill fest,
Okay. Oh, nice.
and it's like everything I see from that movie's like makes it look better and better, and like it is kind of funny how they're like, this is a real. Hey guys, we know that there's a lot of complaint about the state of the superhero genre, but this is a real movie.
Maybe it is. Maybe that's what they're going for. And like
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot there wasn't a lot of stakes riding on Thunderbolts being good, so they were like, hey, get fucking goofy with it. And maybe that's what we'll end up getting.
We should probably bring it back to Mickey 17 and like the positives on it, because I think
I ran out. That's why I subverted.
yeah, but it's just it kind of like the positives kind of. I think the movie does mostly speak for itself, for better and worse. Like,
It does.
I think if you see the trailer and you're like, I'm gonna like this,
And I also
You will.
like I want to
Yeah.
put out there, like, I agree with a lot of the messages that like this movie's coming across, like, like making, but I just wish it would have been done with a little bit more finesse, a little
Yeah.
bit more color, and without that, without it being like as subtle as I think it could have been. I don't think it ever really reached that second gear. So
yeah, because there were a bunch of like lines and like things I kept seeing that I wanted to like come back, because his whole like campaign slogan was like the one and only.
yeah,
And you could draw that back to like just like individuals, or like even I mean, especially Mickey.
yeah,
There's the one and only. There's one and only version of him.
yeah. There's a lot of good messaging in this movie. Like I said, like I agree with it. Just I don't know, like it wasn't done as well as like, or as subtly, or as cool, or like with an interesting take that I think it could have been.
Yeah. I actually do like a lot of the goofy like comedy too, because even like yeah, so even like the goof, because at the whole reason why he went to Niflheim was because he got in the deal with the loan shark, because he opened a macaroon shop and with Steven Yeun instead of a burger, because they're more popular than burgers, and they're just wearing a shirt that just say macaroons are not a sin, and it's just like that like shit like that. I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that.
I would get a shirt that says macaroons are not a sin. Like,
yeah,
there was a
I
couple.
want
Like,
that
I
shirt.
definitely laughed a couple times.
Yeah.
But not as. Okay, it's funny. The movie's funny. I'm done being negative on it.
Yeah, it's good. It's an
a
enjoyable time. If you think you're gonna, with this movie, kind of what you see is
Yeah.
what you get.
It's-
For better or worse.
It's a good, fun sci-fi movie. I think a lot of people, and it's getting a lot of good feedback.
Yeah.
Talked to a lot of friends. You know, it's. I think it's sitting at like a 78% Rotten Tomatoes. So, and it's in March. So like, there's like, what are you gonna fucking wait in 2 weeks and see Snow White? Like, no, like,
Yeah.
it's definitely worth going to
It's
check
a real ass
out.
movie. If you're a Bong fan, you'll like it.
Yeah, if you're a Robert Pattinson fan, you'll like it.
If you're a Mark Ruffalo hater, you're validated.
You feel heard for the first time. If your name's Brandon Schilling, you're like, yeah, I'm the one dude that like hates Mark Ruffalo.
Well, you hate him too, right? Well, I don't hate him. I just don't like him. I just dislike him. You also dislike him, right?
I don't know. Have you ever seen 13 Going on 30?
No, I haven't.
It's a fucking banger, bro.
All right, next we're going to talk about 13 Going on 30.
Yeah, we're gonna go to 13. The movie everybody really is dying for us to cover.
Yeah.
13 Going on 30.
Yeah, here's hoping. But yeah, like final thoughts. Like, what do you? I mean, are we doing? What kind of like rating system should we do?
So I want this to be the only time we ever explain our rating system. Usually when we see a movie, we rate it not by like numbers or anything. We make a noise that kind of sums up how we feel about the movie. So that's the only time we're ever going to explain our rating system. So
Yeah.
what are you giving this?
I'm trying to like I'm trying to think about like the creeper language, like them doing like I'd give it like a yeah. No, I want to be clear. It's not a. It's a,
Okay, yeah, it's not a. It's like a.
yeah.
Yeah.
A bit dejected.
I'm happy with that.
Me too.
All right.
Just I'm happy with this, but not ecstatic.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm burp, but I'm not burp. I'm like burp,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all I got to say. You got anything else?
No.
Yeah.
Good first episode.
Good first epi. We're going to be back next week with Novocaine. So
Yeah.
if you guys enjoyed this, we'll see you next week. I've been Pat.
I've been Brandon.
See you guys.
Later.
You can not be dead anymore.